Hi, I'm Joanna, and I'm an animal behaviorist. Um, and today, my thought of the day is that if I recommend training your pet, I am never meaning that I think that your pet is bad. But in our culture, that seems to be sort of a belief that's floating around, and it's kind of outdated. Um, so people maybe like older ways of thinking about it might be that pets only need to be trained to punish them for being bad. But that is not what I do. And that is not what I believe. So I use positive reinforcement and focus on rewarding pets for doing things that we like to make help them learn how to do those things more often. I am teaching the pets because they are capable of learning throughout their lives. And it also is a way to provide enrichment because positive reinforcement training involves the pet doing some problem solving and using their mind. And um, but I don't think that any animals are bad. Um, and if a dog is maybe dangerous and biting people frequently, I would, like, as a behaviorist, try to analyze why that behavior is happening. And usually it has roots in something with like a combination of the pet's nurture and nature. So the nurture would be maybe a dog was um, treated really badly as a puppy and then grows up to be a dog that bites. And it's possible that the dog was not bred for temperament. So, maybe dogs with fear issues were bred with other dogs with fear issues in a very stressful setting. And then the dog had um, like a bad puppyhood. And then as a result of these factors, that's why the dog is biting, because the dog is often like a lot of these issues, for example, biting, have roots in the animal feeling afraid. Um, so, I'm trying to analyze like what is going on with your pet. Um, but like, and I'm using the example of a biting dog because that might be the type of animal that people might say is a bad dog. And even the most dangerous dogs who might actually need to be euthanized for behavior reasons because they are likely to kill a person, because they have bitten many people, and caused, that I would say, I do think there are some dangerous animals, but I don't think they're bad. And I never want to, like, I would never, uh, I wouldn't even in the most extremely dangerous cases, I wouldn't say that's a bad dog. I would say that's a dog that maybe had a really traumatic time as a puppy, or has some issues with their biology, maybe their brain function. There have been some cases of dogs having like epilepsy and that resulting in some aggressive behavior. There, maybe the dog is in a lot of pain, um, and it can be a combination of factors, right? But um, yeah, I wouldn't. And this is something like I I know Dr. Susan Friedman, who taught me a course in um, pet behavior. She talked about the cultural fog, um, and I'm just kind of like thinking about cultural fog. It's something that like is floating around in our culture that might make us think a certain way, but is kind of outdated. Um, and and I'm also never saying that you're like that anyone who comes to me to have get help with their pet's behavior, I would never say that that's a bad pet owner either, a bad pet guardian. Like, I don't think that people are bad, um, or that dogs are bad. I would, all I'm wanting to do is to give people tools, to help teach their dogs useful new skills. And so yeah, I'm about teaching, understanding how animals learn, teaching people and teaching animals, and teaching people how to teach animals. And maybe I do need to use the word teaching more than training. Um, but trainer is what we use. Some dog trainers do call themselves coaches and talk more about like coaching to try to get this point across. Like, I'm coaching the pet guardians, and then we're like canine coaches. I've heard that as an alternative to saying dog trainer. Um, and my, my focus is on a lot of the time rewarding behavior that we like, so that we see more of that in the future. Um, but I love all the animals, even the ones who are the most dangerous. I care about them. I love them. I'm not going to say that any animal is bad, but there might be things that they're doing that we don't want them to do anymore. Um, so then we teach them new things to do instead of those things, and we find out why they're doing those things, and we get to the bottom of it, and like change the environment so that they don't need to do those things anymore, and they have different ways. Like, one, for instance, I once trained a dog who was biting his guardian to get her attention, and I figured out what was going on, and then we taught him ways to get her attention by teaching him some fun tricks, and so he could get her attention, using those tricks instead of biting her. And he was a sweet dog, um, and he was smart, and he learned a lot, and I loved teaching it, and I loved coaching his guardian.